Okay, it is now 6:21 p.m., and we will reconvene our regular monthly meeting. Dr. Head, do you have any introductions or special guests that you would like to recognize tonight? Thank you. All right.
I need my list again. Oh, never mind. I found it under one of my. Okay, so we have guests in the audience tonight. One is Jamie Swinnerton from the Houston. Thank you. We have Jamie Swinnerton from the Houston Chronicle, and Jamie, where are you? Oh, there you are, right there in the front. Okay, glad to have you. And then we have Jim Kane, the former superintendent of Klein, and where is Jim? Oh, Jim's over there, so welcome.
Hi, Dr. Kane.
And then we have Helen Cloudy, and you want to come up and introduce Alicia Friday. We want to introduce the 2020 cohort of the Academy.
Good evening, Mr. Chair,
Good evening.
Trustees, Chancellor. Many of you know that we have quite strong leadership development programs here at Lone Star College, and the Academy is our most senior program in terms of age. And so tonight, Dr. Alicia Friday, the Executive Director of Organizational Development, is going to introduce you to the 2020 cohort of the Academy.
All right, good evening, Chairman Smith, trustees, Chancellor Head. I'm Alicia Friday, Executive Director of Organizational Development. It is my honor to introduce our new cohort of Academy Fellows this year. Before I tell you a little bit about the program and bring them up, I do want to say a special thank you and recognize my colleagues in OD who lead our fellows through this program all year long. So first of all, our Director of Leadership and Career Development is Ramon Meza. If he'll stand so we can see you. Thank you. And then also our Manager of Career and Leadership Development is Brittany Lang. So I hope she'll stand so you can get to know her a little bit as well. Thank you all. They work so incredibly hard. They are a small but mighty team and just make sure that our fellows have a really wonderful year. I also want to say a brief thank you to Dr. Head and each of our presidents and our cabinet members who find the time and energy to make sure that our employees have a chance to really be developed in their leadership journey. So a little bit about the Academy as we kind of go here. The Academy is actually, as Helen mentioned, it's our most senior leadership development program. It's been around since 2006, and we're actually in our 14th year. We've graduated 223 employees from the program, which we're really proud of, and many of them are still here leading in a variety of capacities. In the spirit of our cultural belief of Own It, which is I bring my best, rise above challenges, and own my contributions, the Academy Fellows engage in a curriculum aimed at really expanding their personal leadership development and journey and also their abilities to lead in the roles that they're in right now. Some highlights from the program during the year: they have the opportunity to work with a coach. They learn from a variety of our leaders here at Lone Star College and hear from them about their personal leadership journeys. They do several growth sessions about monthly through the year, and they also take a trip to Austin where they get to learn about the legislative process and how it impacts the community college setting. And finally, they wrap up with a pod project, which is an idea that they really see as being able to impact the college in a positive way and move our strategic goals forward. So lots of good work that they get to do during the year. So next I am going to introduce our fellows, and fellows, I will invite you up to join us up at the front, so hopefully we can take a quick photo after you all are introduced. So first off, from Lone Star College Sci-Fair, Kimberly Anderson. Carolina Andrade. Amlan Dada. And Kim Miller. From Lone Star College Kingwood, Summer Balser. And also Jennifer Coyote. From Lone Star College North Harris, Trakina Emika. Lone Star College Tomball, Gloria Martistani. LSC University Park, we have Dee Dee Berry. Jermaine Johnson. Leslie Ann Machado. Trey Medley. Jennifer Ross. Alma Christina Tusini. And Monique Wiltz. All right, LSC System Office The Woodlands, we have Donna Cottrell. Janine Fagbimi, who is not here with us tonight, who's actually in grad school taking a class. Lauren Hayes. And Lou Waterhouse. Great. And last but not least, our LSC System Office University Park Fellows, Paige Berta. And finally, Richard Julik. Well, I hope you all join me in thanking and congratulating our fellows one more time, and then we'll get a photo. So congratulations to each of you. All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get it.
I forgot that I don't have my glasses really more what to read. Okay. I forget, and I wear them all the time. 'Cause I'm just used to it. Well, they worked on that too. It's good. They can do it, yeah. They can do it now. Yes, they can. Now they can, but they robotics.
All this stuff comes down for public comment, yeah.
Yeah, they worked on my, what do you call that? The glare.
Oh, yeah. And then one time I was had to be up driving this 5, 6 in the morning. It had been raining.
Listen, and leaving here, even leaving here, I had problems. You know, from the oncoming car, well, even the lights.
I don't know who they are. Let me go find.
The
find
glare
out who they are.
bounces on.
It rains.
Yeah. Oof. See, my lens isn't bad at all now.
What are we waiting for?
I don't know.
Students, we're trying to figure out who you are, so we want you to tell us. We want to know who you, like, you want to. We're glad you're here. We're asking for good reasons. So.
Many of you know Dr. Jay Tice, who teaches government for us. And one of the assignments that the students have an option of doing is attending a board meeting. So they're taking notes, they're asking questions about you and about the arrangement of the room and about the agenda. So would all of Jay Tice's government students that are here tonight for a class assignment please stand up?
I want to say, students, thank you so much, for coming. This is an opportunity that you have that I didn't have when I was growing up like that. So take full advantage of it. And I hope one day 2/3 of you will seek positions like we have somewhere in this country. And again, thank you.
I think we'd like to see your comments after the meeting too. Not after the meeting, but once you do your report, we'd like to see what you have to say about the board meeting. Huh?
Yeah. And also, Mr. Chancellor, you know, it might be a good idea if we can get one of the bravest students to come up and say just a couple of good words to the entire group. Let's see who, I want to see who the drum majors are. Just
Come on, I
anybody.
know one of you has leadership capabilities. Come on.
Hey,
All right.
hello. You're doing good so far. Go ahead.
I'm in Kingwood. I'm trying to get an Associates of Science and plan on moving on to four-year university, go to dental school.
Dental school? Wow. Oh, awesome.
What's your name?
Amir?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, great. Thank you, Amir. Keep up the good work. Okay, Helen, do we have anyone wishing to make comments tonight? We have one person, John. Okay, John.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Dr. John Bergduff, representing the American Federation of Teachers. In October, I mentioned my experience teaching in the new co-requisite model. In this model, mandated by the state, when students arrive at our doorstep not ready to do college-level work, they are now put into college-level courses anyway, while being required to take co-requisite developmental courses at the same time. Lone Star College faculty have been working under this model for a little over a year now, so we are beginning to have some preliminary data on student performance. I am going to be talking about co-requisite mathematics courses tonight and focusing on college algebra at my own campus, Cy-Fair, because I have that data easily available. However, as I talk to colleagues both at the other colleges in our system and in some of the other college systems in the Houston area, it is pretty clear that the story is the same just about everywhere. To be fair and honest, this data shows that indeed some of our students are being successful in this co-requisite model and are finishing their required math classes one semester faster. A mechanism for some students to fast track through their developmental program is worthwhile. In fact, Lone Star already had such mechanisms. The data shows, however, that the percentage of students who did not pass co-requisite college algebra last year at Cy-Fair ranged from 57% to 70%, depending on the semester. The fact of the matter is that most students are not able to master that much material in a condensed amount of time. We can list many factors that impede success, but ultimately the main reason is simply a matter of biology. In recent decades, we have learned a great deal about the physiology of learning. We now know that as we learn, the dendrites in our brains literally grow and reach out to make connections with other dendrites, forming electrical pathways of understanding. So when our students use language like, "everything finally came together for me," that is quite literally what happened. As more of these connections form, we learn faster and more efficiently. Brain imaging done by researchers shows that successful learners have developed a dense network of interconnecting nerve cells. There are even actual pictures showing the dendrites growing. The problem is that dendrites can only grow so fast. Pushing students to cover more information faster than that growth allows is simply not going to work. Faculty members can restructure the curriculum, and we have. We can explore new approaches to teaching, and we are. We can incorporate more technology, and we do. We can spend more time working with our students one-on-one, and we are doing that too, but we cannot speed up a biological process. Many of our students come to our campus already very unsure of their ability to handle college. What I can tell you as a fact, and what any of my colleagues will corroborate, is that the co-requisite model is reinforcing a negative internal dialogue for many students. Yep, I always knew I wasn't college material. This proves it. I should never have come here. I have a student this semester who tells me he cries on the way home from class almost every day. It is not surprising that the nickname many of us at Cy-Fair have given to co-requisite classes is co-rec. That's spelled C-O-WRECK. So, members of the board and system administrators, why am I telling you all this? Co-requisites are mandated by the state. You can't tell us we don't have to do them. What I'm asking you to do is to keep a close eye on this subject and to think about the year 2021. The decision to implement co-requisite classes in Texas is first and foremost a political one, not a pedagogical one. Developmental studies were seen by many in the legislature and the public as a waste of money. Yet if Texas is going to develop the educated workforce we know the state is lacking, we who teach and you who lead us will need to partner together when the legislature reconvenes to convince them that we need some flexibility. John Roosh, the godfather of community college leadership for an entire generation, used to say that if we refuse to invest in the developmental education of students who are not ready for college-level work, then we better be ready to invest more in either welfare or prisons. We must work together to help our legislators and the public understand that many more of our students can learn if we just give them the time. Thank you so much for your attention, and I wish you all a very happy holiday.
John, could I get a copy of that?
Certainly. Yes, you may have this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I make a comment, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say that I've got a grandson that just went through that scenario at another community college.
You know what? It's not on the agenda, so we can't.
Okay.
So
We
all
can't
you
talk
can
about
do
it.
is make factual responses back, and we don't deliberate on it.
I wasn't deliberating. I was making a factual response in my grandson's life to confirm what Dr. Berghoff just said.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Dr. Head.
So at the last meeting, we went through the marketing and kind of the branding efforts that we have underway. So the second part, what we talked about at the coming forth would be how that's translating into enrollment management. So tonight I've asked Dr. Archie Blanson to come up, and he will introduce Jamie Posey, who is our Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Success, and they're going to go through about a 10-minute presentation over what we're doing for enrollment management.
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Head, thank you for allowing us to present tonight. As our system grow in locations and programs, it's equally important that we grow also in the enrollment. As you can tell, the enrollment has dropped over the last few years, and so Dr. Head asked us to review all department processes as it relates to student management and enrollment management. And as a result, we developed two plans, a short-term plan to enhance the enrollment and a long-term plan. The short-term plan is for the spring of 2020, long-term plan for subsequent semesters and years after that. Tonight, we'd like to briefly go through those with you. I'm going to ask Jamie Posey to come up and we'll do the PowerPoint.
To give you a little bit of context, I think it's important first to give you a data slide. If you look at this slide, the top line is our total spring unduplicated head count, and you notice that at the far left of the screen, the little tick is going up. And then you notice that under a 2018 slide, you start to see a little bit of a dip down. And then the dotted line that you see is the prediction that if we did nothing different, this is what we could anticipate happening. The other thing I want you to notice on this slide is that for spring head count, the majority of our students are continuing students who started here in the fall. And you'll notice down at the bottom, it's a much lower percentage of students who are new or returning after being gone for a semester or two. In regards to our spring 2020 plan, our charge was very simple. What were the things we could do that would be actionable strategies that we could implement in a short time frame with resources that we had available to us at our fingertips? The good news about Lone Star is that we have some wonderful campuses with great ideas. And so looking internally at some of the best practices that were already here allowed us to act quickly and to continue to act quickly as we move forward even into our full review. In 10 minutes, I don't have enough time to go over everything that's in our plan. So I hope you'll appreciate just the highlights and then take the slides with you to read the rest of this, as obviously I'm passionate about every single line that's in this document. Under our strategies, and I want to point out, under our plan, we have strategies, which I'll go through quickly. We have areas. There were 5 areas that we broke our plan into: recruitment and admissions, payment and financial aid, marketing, registration and technology, and retention. And then we had our targeted populations. You'll notice on this slide, the majority of these strategies were focused on new and continuing students. And on our next slide, it's mostly continuing students. Some of the strategies, just as a quick highlight, we are doing a basically all hands on deck approach. We began with calling campaigns, and the one that I'll highlight specifically is reaching out to students proactively in a personal way, advising them on paying early and getting on a payment plan if they didn't have the funds to pay in full. We also had our spring mailers, postcards, mail inserts in the newspapers, and with that, we were trying to customize our messaging to be more about the fit at Lone Star College and how there is a fit for everyone at Lone Star. Additionally, we did an email campaign. This was targeted for new and continuing students, and the one that I'll highlight here is changing the messaging from a negative connotation of late start, oh, you're late, but you can still start, to more of a choose your start, where we offer everything from 16-week classes to 14-week, 12-week, 8-week, mini-mesters, and so on. Additionally, some of you may have been to Disney, and you've seen that fast pass where you get to cut straight to the front of the line, or at least the shorter line. We did something similar over the past few semesters and have scaled this out for spring 2020, where students who are new to the college, trying to enroll for the first time, but only have 1 or 0 admissions items left in their checklist, can come and cut straight to the front of the line to get help in a designated area at each campus. One of the strategies that our campuses had started a couple of years ago was mobile advising. And this sounds so simple. Take the advising where the students are. If they're coming out of class and they're trying to re-enroll, make it convenient for them to stop by and register. Our campuses have now done that for those who weren't already doing it. We also created a re-enrollment video, advertising to students, registration's open, benefits of registering early, and register now. For us, we encouraged every campus to have a consistent registration kickoff event on the first 2 days of registration, and then we're also incentivizing faculty as well as students to register early. For faculty, I don't know if you know this, but they get a little competitive. So we've been sending out these numbers, and I tell you what, the campuses, I have to say, you never know who's gonna be in the lead with the most faculty shows. It's totally different every day, and it's fun to watch to see how many more we're getting. But basically, every time a faculty member shows a video in their classes encouraging registration, they're entered into a drawing for prizes to win. And same for students. If they're registering before December 10th, they're entered into drawings to win prizes as well. And then we also want to focus on our early alerts, where if we know that a student has had someone express concern that they're about to leave or that they're struggling, we really wanted to focus on reaching out to those students and catching them before they go. Now in the full review, and I have to move quickly on this, I want to just hit the highlights. On our recruitment and admissions area, we're building out an aggressive recruitment campaign that will be diversified based on the student populations that we want to target. This is all stuff that will come starting in the spring that we'll be working on. Additionally, we'll be streamlining communications in the portal that students see, emails, the websites, and also this example of the Fast Pass. That signage, if you go to one of our campuses today, you'll see that one and the one that's under it pretty much everywhere at all of our campuses. The bottom example here is one of our retention strategies, which was about registering early and that prize drawing that I told you about. In regards to marketing and that right fit, these were a couple examples that if you live in these communities, you may have seen. These were available, I think, for almost every campus, if not every campus, talking about that fit and that find your place. We're also working on the possibility of digital marquees because it's a very simple notion, which I know Dr. Blanson had asked, where if you're driving by, what would draw you to come into the campus if you don't know what's offered inside? Additionally, for those of you who are technology buffs, this slide is my favorite one. This is a snapshot of our new technology that we are in final testing on. It's called Program Enrollment. What it will do is put the plan that a student is supposed to be following for their courses, for their degree or certificate program, in front of them in the registration system and allow them to register for those classes directly from their plan. We're in the final stages of testing with this, and we hope to launch it soon. Last area is payment and financial aid. We're doing some assessment around communicating to students the financial opportunities that are already available and trying to find other ways to lower cost for students. As follow-up to, I think, a previous conversation you may have had at a previous board meeting, We also know that sometimes, despite students' best interest and hope of enrolling in class, there are basic needs that prevent students from being able to do so. We found from some of our student survey data that students don't know about some of the resources that we offer for some of the most basic needs. Everything from childcare or clothing or food pantries. And so we've created this website, lonestar.edu/care. And if you have a QR reader on your phone, you can scan that, it'll take you to the site. But it basically pulls those resources available for students. And we're also making it accessible through their portal. And then last, before I leave you, I have to close with, this is all great work and something that we want to continue to see, that trend line that I talked about at the beginning, turn up. But I also wanted to highlight that there's been a lot of progress over the last couple of years. Our 3-year and 4-year grad rates have continued to improve for full-time students, significantly so, even though they're still not necessarily where we want them to be. Our time to degree is also decreasing, which is excellent, considering it's a 2-year degree. We want them to finish in 2 years, but we know that 70% of our students are part-time, which means 4 years would be on time for them. And currently we're at 4.4 years. And then last, our excess credits, which we measure as the credits that a student takes that don't count towards their degree or certificate program. We've also seen a decrease in those. So less waste, more efficient progress towards their completion of their degree or credential. So with that, I know that was quick and fast, but we'll entertain any other questions if you have any. Yes.
I don't know if this question is appropriate, but, and I won't name the university, but I had a great niece that went to a university. She had to go to 25 different places to register, and she got lost and frustrated and quit.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to say, I don't fully know the enrollment process at Lone Star, and I should. But people talk a lot about one-stop shop or one-stop something. Mm-hmm. Do we have facilities whereby students can go to one place and get completely registered without having to run all over the place?
So, do you want me to take that? I was like, Dr. Blades? New students that are first entering the college, they're required to go through our mandatory new student orientation. So they complete their admissions checklist items, and then when they come to that orientation, they are walked directly through the registration process with an advisor. So as close to one-stop shop as you can get. They also teach them how to register through that process. And so from there on, we hope that it's more intuitive. But we're also looking at our business processes to see ways to streamline it, because we want it to be inescapably obvious how to register and which classes they need.
So I want to make sure the board and especially this is for the college presidents, this isn't, I mean, they're giving the presentation, but everybody's involved in this, and the vice presidents and the faculty and everybody at the colleges. We can't do this alone. So I know the colleges are working very hard. Our enrollments are actually up this time, and so we're up 3.8 in credit hours, which is the important financial piece for us, and that's good. So, and for you students, I just want you to know, we take a look at this all the time. We're trying to make it simpler. A lot of what we do is driven by state requirements or reporting requirements. So we take a look at all that, and we're trying to make it so that a normal person could easily fill out that application and know what you need to take. We're looking at the schedule. We're looking at the registration process. I know all the colleges are trying to make it easier for people to understand, assuming that they don't know anything when they come in, which a lot of our students don't. So,
well, I can tell you the college presidents have been great. Everything we've asked them to do, they've done it. We've gotten positive feedback, but not only that, they've shared their best practices, and we've sent them back out to the other colleges also.
Yeah. One other question, and all of this is because of my newness. A lot of our, especially underprivileged students, they have a tendency to get discouraged and drop out. Do we have any kind of mechanism whereby we can send them a note and say, hey, where are you? We miss you.
So our faculty have, first off, they're the first line of defense if they've already shown up for class and being able to reach out to them. Mm-hmm. We also have our early alert, so if a student stops showing up and a faculty member has tried to reach out to them, they also can submit an early alert form that goes to their advising office, and then someone reaches out to them. And then additionally, this semester, we've also done hey, you were enrolled last spring, but you weren't here in the fall. We want you back, come back. And that's why we're really tracking the continuing students, because these students made it through the admissions process, enrolled, they came with the best of intentions of completing, but they didn't come back for whatever reason. So we've tried to do more proactive research, outreach to them as well.
And we're really trying to get them to complete the FAFSA application because there's scholarship money out there, but we can't give it to them because in most cases it's last dollar and you have to have that form complete. So we're going to have a big push this spring on that.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you're following up with those. That's super. Good
So
job.
for everybody else, the FAFSA is the financial aid application, which is extremely complicated. So when we go to Washington, we're going to talk about that again to make it easier for the students. It's too complicated to fill out, so.
Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to share, I'm sorry, I wanted to share that I have first-hand knowledge now that I have a senior in Eisenhower, and I was glad to hear that Lone Star was at this school, and they knew everything about the honors program and about things that I didn't have to tell my son. He figured it out. And over a couple of instances where they've gathered with his friends, they've been with my boys since, elementary. And so I get to ask them questions, of course, about, have you looked at Lone Star? And some of them are already getting approached by technical schools, and schools I've never heard of, so it could be good, it might not be. But, I mean, those are the students that we all say, we need to talk to them because I know we offer that program. Or, and also, a lot of them are, my kids' friends are applying at different schools, right? They're getting their letters and all that, but a lot of them really know deep down that I'm hoping that they stay, right? So, but they don't know anything yet. They're kind of there. They're still applying everywhere else. But I think at this point in time, the deadline, sometimes they already missed the deadlines for the universities and all that. Maybe they didn't really want to go. Anyway, all I'm saying is that there's certain points that we really need to follow up with them or reach out to them. And I know the counselors do a great job, by the way, and at the schools, the principal, I talked to the principal a long time at Eisenhower, and that's a big part of that. So, thank you.
I do have a question, but this is directed to the students here. When you filled out the FAFSA application, just raise your hands. You don't have to stand up or say, but was it difficult for you guys? Just raise your hands. Yeah. Were you helped in submitting the forms, or did you do it by yourself? No, so you were helped. Okay.
Chair, I wanted to say something. Having been an adjunct at Lone Star, I'm going to give a shout out to the faculty because when I was an adjunct and when students, maybe 2 weeks before it was time, for school to end, they just stopped coming. I got on the telephone. I even asked students in the room, go back, tell so-and-so. They still have a chance to pass. And, they'd come back sometimes and say, oh, Ms. Pierce, I heard you said that I could come back. I came back. So the faculty, I'm going to give you a shout out. You do your job. And if it weren't for the faculty, because they're the first line, just like in war, they're the ones down the front lines. They do a great job. They really do at trying to keep those students in school.
We completely agree with that. And we're in our faculty incentive program that we have any faculty member who reaches 60% of their section re-enrolled, they're getting entered into these prizes as well. You should see the data. I know, it's really exciting. Sir.
What is the breakdown of students wanting to do the 4-year and those students that will never do a 4-year apprenticeships? That's what I'm hearing even at the church that I attend with 12,000 people. They don't want to go to school for 4 years.
What's interesting is that we have a registration survey where we ask students every semester what they are here to do. So we show them their program that they've declared, and we ask them, are you here to transfer or not? 60% of our students pretty consistently have said, I'm here to transfer. But it's funny because that's not the data you see when they actually declare their program choice. So what we're trying to do with our advising work right now is connect students to their end goal to what program that is. Because we know that with our workforce programs, a certificate program that they can complete in a short amount of time and then build on that and then build on that and go out and make more money, that is a focus that we've been trying to do even with our dual credit offerings.
Okay, any other comments? Mike. Oh, Mike, okay. Yes, Mike.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I didn't see you over there. Yeah.
Well, I know you can't, but we'll work through that. Thank you for your passion, Jamie, seriously, because if you don't have it, it doesn't happen. And thanks for helping them, Dr. Blanson, and giving the leadership. The information that you presented tonight was concise, and I could understand it, and I see a plan. Not to be critical of the last presentation, but it was busy. And I left wondering, what are we doing? But what I'm pointing to my monitor like it's still there, I apologize, but what you laid out tonight, I can identify. You text, you robocall, you reach out. One of the aspects of that presentation that I liked a lot was what I'll call the recommendation or suggestion of what courses to take to finish. You don't know this, but just 5 or 6 years ago, I was a student at Lone Star Kingwood. Walked in, didn't know anything, didn't know anyone, very intimidating, and just sat in a chair up against the wall with all the other students and just kind of plodded through it. Luckily, Dr. Person and others reached out and took care of me and walked me through the process, and it was much more comfortable. But it's intimidating. It's intimidating for 52-year-old guys. It's intimidating for students in their 20s. So the easier you can make it, the better the results will be for the students, which is all of our goal. And I really appreciate it because it just means a lot. It makes a difference. You know, you can do radio commercials and you can do TV, you know, all that stuff's important. Don't get me wrong, not being critical, but this works. And hats off to you for doing it.
And Dr. Blanson, I want to tell you, when I first came on the board, I had to go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I had to answer a lot of questions about stuff that looked like Greek to me. And Jamie gave me some data that made me an instant superstar. So take care, Jamie.
Thank you.
Okay. Board members, at this point, we need to approve the minutes of our November 7th, 2019 workshop and regular meeting. And one thing, let me get something up right quick. I'm going to remember who was present. The members that were present at that meeting was myself, Trustee Good, Trustee Vogt, Trustee Sullivan, and Trustee Lord. I just want to make sure everybody remember who exactly those individuals are. And may we have a motion to approve the minutes of November 7th workshop and our regular meeting? So moved. Got a second? Okay, it's been moved by Trustee Boyd and second by Trustee Good that we approve the minutes of our November the 7th. Any questions? All of those in favor of, raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. If you weren't here, though,
It's up to them if they want to.
okay. Raise your hand again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 5, 6. Okay, 2, 4. Okay, that's good, everybody. All right, thank you. The motion passed. Okay, do you have any special reports, Dr. Head, and announcements?
Yeah, a couple of things. One is we've already started meeting with legislators, and John, I heard what you said, so I'm looking at you, Link, and Dwight. I would really like a report over what those co-recs look like. I mean, I know that's a problem. Where'd John go? Is he still here? Yeah. We'll take a look at that. I need more information. The head of higher ed is a senator in our area. He will listen, but I need specific information. So we'll get the data on our side and then come back and talk to you a little bit. So I agree, we need flexibility. I totally agree with you. A couple of other issues we have. One is we're moving toward, we will have 9 additional counselors after the first of the year. Is that correct? So Trustee Pierce, that's following up on some conversations we've had. And I have a couple of other items here. So the foundation held its annual golf tournament last month at the Woodlands Country Club. And they raised, the foundation raised, we raised $130,000. We had 200 golfers, 66 sponsors, 75 volunteers. So is Nicole here tonight? Okay. So it was a very successful event. The foundation's 2019 employee campaign raised more than $180,000. This is with our own employees, and 38% of the employees participating. So, and Montgomery led the campaign. LSC Montgomery led the campaign, was co-chairs, and we had co-chairs from each campus, and each campus appointed ambassadors and team leaders. So we had about 100 volunteers. So our employees, that's a pretty high rate. At one time, we were at 48, something like that, which is really high, yeah. So, and the foundation is launching a book fund system-wide on December the 3rd, well, that was this week, to assist students in purchasing textbooks, and it's already raised more than $5,000 in 3 days. So if you're interested in giving to the foundation to help the students, we're more than happy at the end of the year to take your money. So the foundation's doing a great job, by the way. We passed 30 million. I think we mentioned that at the last meeting, but we've passed 30 million, and I think I sent the board a note, I think we did, that we're rated pretty high in the Houston metropolitan area for the endowment and the amount of money that we're giving out each year. So we've come a long way. We started with $10,000 of our own money that we put in there to start the foundation. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Head. Appreciate that. Do the president have a report?
I don't think we have a report from the president by design. Okay.
Okay.
And I don't think, oh, okay, go ahead.
Did you say the vice chancellor?
Yeah, we do. I'd like to have Dwight Smith come up. Some of you had asked about what we're doing with workforce. So Dwight is our vice chancellor for academic success. And he and Linda Head are going to go through some of the issues or some of the programs we have for workforce. So.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Chair Smith, board members, and Chancellor Head. I'm going to introduce Linda Head, who's a Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for External Employer Relations. She's going to talk about our workforce initiatives here at Lone Star College. And in her report, I want to highlight some areas for you to pay particular attention, that we do rely upon workforce data, labor data, feedback from employers with regards to what programs to plan for, whether or not we should continue those programs, that she considers ways in which she works with campuses to offer workforce programs at all campuses here at Lone Star College. And we have some new tools that will benefit students because it will provide real-time data to them with regards to job openings. It will allow them to post the resumes for job openings and gives them information about what type of income they might be able to receive, having received a degree. I think what's most important at the end, you'll see the benefit of these programs to hear from some students, because it was mentioned previously that just this past spring, 40% of our our recipients of degrees from Lone Star College were from workforce programs. So Linda, if you would.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. And hello, Dr. Smith.
Hello, how are you?
I get to be the face of workforce and economic development for Lone Star College, which is awesome. And this morning I left the Texas Workforce Commission annual meeting in Dallas. And it was a really neat group of the governor's office of economic development and what they're doing there, and Robert Allen's work, and then also the commissioners and all the Texas Workforce Solutions offices were there. They had a sold-out group and talked more about strategy for the future. And they also talked about retention of employers so that they don't leave the state of Texas. But workforce development was at the forefront. As the chancellor said, everybody in this room delivers workforce education, and everyone in this room and almost everybody at the college is part of it. And to follow what Jamie Posey talked about, we hope you're all recruiters. We have lots of stuff, lots of printed stuff. We'd love it if you all had a Rubbermaid box in your trunk of your car and filled it with stuff. And every time you run into somebody, you could tell them about our programs of study and all the great things that we're doing here at Lone Star College. So we have a workforce council that was created about 10, 11 years ago. And the job of the 50 people on the council is to work together as a system and figure out the right degrees, associate applied science, certificates, certifications to offer within the college system. And we also have some of you as board members that are helping us with that too, which is really great. We want to know what's going on, who's hiring, what the future is. These are our areas of study where associate applied science degrees are located. All of it's on our website. Again, as you're recruiting for the college for us, we want to make sure that you know where the list is and all the details for all the programs are within that. Dr. Kishvela talks about the wheel. Whenever we're in meetings recently, we always talk about the wheel and the 10-step process. There is a process. We don't just go to a conference, hear about some new technology, and all of a sudden put it together. So be rest assured, there's a lot of data behind the proposals that come to you for new programs.
So just for a second, I want to make sure the board knows that, because I've had some questions about this. So if anybody wants a program, we don't put all of our programs at every location. So, I mean, this is about a money issue, it's about a market issue, it's about just being smart with the way we go about our business, and knowing that students need to be a certain distance away. It doesn't make a lot of sense to put very expensive programs side by side. One in Kingwood and one in Cy-Fair makes sense, or, you know, some reasonable distance. So we're very conscientious about that, but we have a process we go through to make sure that the program, there's a job market and that there's a need for that program at that, and that they have the space for it. There's a return on the investment that we take a look at, so.
That's true. And the woman behind the wheel is here tonight, Christina Todd. Raise your hand, Christina. She has led training for all 50 community colleges in the state, and now sits on the board of the National Council for Workforce Education. These are the kinds of people that are on Workforce Council. Some of them have been there for 10 years, and some of them come in and out. The presidents approve who's on there, and then almost all the system office departments are there, so that we have a huge, big team. I've been to teams, and so we're getting input from everyone, and we're keeping everyone informed. Because when you start a new program, the grants department needs to know, the foundation needs to know. Miguel Lopez is here tonight. Raise your hand, Miguel. Small business development and entrepreneurship. We want to be sure that everyone's involved and knows what's coming up. This I'm really excited about. This is an environmental scan that we did recently. It was just brought to Workforce Council 2 weeks ago. It's a 200-page detailed report on what's going on in Houston. So the Houston MSA is from Galveston to Huntsville, Lake Houston to Katy, and all the jobs. And we also included Beaumont, Port Arthur, so that we would know. And then they compared the needs against our own program. So you can see in that 4 quadrants the things that we need to pay attention to. I just got it delivered yesterday, so presidents, I'm sorry you haven't seen the detailed report yet, but everyone will get it on Monday. We wanted them to have a nicer cover. That's Idaho, and that's where EMSI is located. And we were trying to get something and get a good executive summary so that you would all have it, and also our vice chancellors.
So we can get, if they want a copy of that, if they'll just let us know. I know some of you are more interested in this than others, but we'd be glad to give you a copy of that report. I think it actually helps me when I see it, just so I know what we're working on or what we should be working on. So,
An electronic copy?
yeah, we'll just send it to all board members. You can
We
open it if you
have
want
that.
to. No? Okay.
And then with that, we do that every few years, but we do this all the time. And as the Chancellor mentioned and Dr. Smith mentioned, we have a new tool that we're using too. So this is the kind of data we pull. We know for associate's degree or less what positions are being hired and how many. And then we can get into who's hiring. And this particular slide, I was looking at it last night in the hotel room when I was going through the slides again, and realized HCC and Lone Star are on here because the day that we took the snapshot was the day that all the adjunct positions were posted. So all of a sudden we're hiring lots of people, right? So that's the kind of stuff we get, but it's live data. And then we can find out with bachelor's degrees, and it's how we decided on the 3 applied baccalaureate degrees that are starting in the fall.
Hold on. For some of the board members, it may be easier on some of those small print to look at this thing, because I can hardly see it here, but can you go back just for a second? That one you can actually see, and workforce, the only reason I'm saying that is because workforce is this broad thing. We have this traditional view of workforce being kind of a technical, it is technical, but it's a different kind of, workforce is defined differently now. It's a much broader category. Workforce is really about a lot of different
So
things.
I have a doctor that's a daughter, and I call her an apprentice because she has not been able to do surgery without another doctor there, right, until 2 weeks ago. So it's all workforce education, isn't it? I mean, whether you're going to be a dentist and you go to school for 12 years or you end up being a AWS certified welder and you go to school for 6 months, it's all workforce education. So that's what I like to say anyway.
What does it mean? Flip back one quick. One quick. I can't, like on the registered nurse, where it says total is 181,000, then
So those
unique?
are how many postings are out there on the internet from the Houston MSA.
Okay, now what's
So
that?
a company might post using multiple websites,
Okay.
and those are the number of postings. It doesn't necessarily mean that's the number of job openings.
Okay, now what's the unique, what's the 15860? The next number, slash.
Those are the number of job postings.
Well, what's the first one?
The number of, the number of openings.
Okay.
The first one's the number of postings, second one's the number of openings.
Openings.
Thank you.
Then we have advisory councils. So we gather the data in various ways, then we pull together the businesses. Link Alander was involved when we pulled together cybersecurity folks, and we're doing it again. We have 6 that are for the chancellor and the president level. They're C-suite type folks, talk more about strategy and get different kind of conversations. Each of the deans runs, we have 65 advisory councils that the deans lead, and they're more occupational specific. So one for nursing, one for welding, one for machining, one for biotech. And those, they're talking more about curriculum and specific lab equipment and assessments and how we're going to assess students. So this goes on all the time. These are the Chancellor Advisory Councils. We've been doing this for now about 10 years. And take that information and help share it with the deans. We also just did a training for all the deans to help them, because some people are better at facilitating those kind of meetings than others, and shared best practices, and have a manual of sorts.
We don't mind if board members, if you want to attend some of these meetings, we
Oh,
can
heavens no.
include you. I think if we've had board
Give it to
members
Helen,
attend
we'll give
before,
her
and
the
you
dates
kind of learn what's kind of the way we go about our decision making.
And it's they talk to us, we give them an hour and 15 minutes we ask them questions and they respond to questions, and it's not us presenting. These are some of the companies that show up and continue to show up. They come from the different advisory councils. Dr. Smith and I are also leading the Superintendent's Advisory Council with Dr. Blanson's office. We also have a star chart, we call it. It's been around for a long time, and the star chart shows you all the specifics. We still have it online, and of course, we now have a new program of study website that incorporates all this in it, and then it's active link that links into all the details of the curriculum, and because of Career Star, we can also show you the
Just walk
salaries
through one of those
for-
and show them what that means. I mean, you have to look at it and see. It's like I got a program and then where we offer it. So if we're talking to somebody, just pick one of those.
Sci-Fair North Harris, it shows you, and then the last one, OL, is online. So those that are 100% online. Dr. Smith mentioned this, 40% of our graduates come out of associate applied science degrees or certificates. If you threw in the non-credit graduates, it would be higher than that. Non-credit graduated about 1,400 last year out of non-credit certificates and certifications. These are some of the things that happened in the last couple of years, and they're at various campuses. Again, it goes through the process. We're trying to keep things new, but not just new, refreshed. So you see modified on there because modified is important. If we're not keeping them relevant, Trustee Stoma is talking to us about blockchain and has brought an organization to us. That's really cool and neat. And then Quentin and I, Dr. Wright and I are working on esports, and that was brought to us. I didn't even know what esports existed. I didn't even know what it was. So, we have to research all that and figure it out and keep up with it. And all of these are updated all the time. Truck driving doesn't stay the same. I mean, things change. We have longer flatbeds. We're hauling water. We have hazmat. We have to keep up with that sort of thing and be sure we know what we're doing. You know about the centers of excellence. They're coming out of the ground. Presidents are leading at their campuses, and if you haven't been to see them, we'd love to give you a tour. Helen, we'd love to get them all on a shuttle and go from center to center, just so you can get in them and see. There's a huge investment in these centers and great opportunities for our students. May 1st, put it on your calendars, is the grand opening of transportation and global logistics. We're excited about that. Drilling services this next year, year after next. Also wanted you to know about the funding. Through our office, we are managing this year $7 million in grant funds. There's a Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Texas Workforce Commission is our friend. They've never turned us down for a grant. They actually come to us now for grants. And I'll talk to you in a minute about some of the miscellaneous. But some of them pay for student tuition. Most of them don't. Most of them are paying for equipment and helping us develop new programs. Christina just led a grant that helped us with process. So it just depends. Texas Workforce Commission also funds a lot of corporate college and customized training because it's economic development. Labs, we have invested as a college lots of money into labs. It's really, the last bond has done a great job. The one before that was focused on healthcare. So between the two bonds, almost all of our workforce labs are new.
So the 300,000, just so we're clear about that, from the Tom Ball Hospital Foundation, if you can go back one, that ought to have Leah Nutt's name on there because
Yeah,
she's the one.
done that.
That personal relationship we have, it is coming through the foundation, but Leanne's the one that's
And there's more.
driving that. Yeah, there's more coming.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
How much is it all?
Total donations is $1.2 million, but that includes some personnel, scholarships, endowments.
This is about non-credit. Sometimes people think workforce is CE. That's absolutely not true. Most of workforce is college credit. Some of it's in CE. So in CE, in non-credit, there's 42 program certificates, and these are the number of students that are in there. Corporate college is also part of workforce development, and that's some of the factoids about that. We've trained 5,000 incumbent workers in the last year. So we're working with lots of businesses. These are some of them. That's who the corporate college is working with. That's who we contract to. Some contracts get renewed annually, and some are short and new. Career Star. This is near and dear to my heart, and I'm just been waiting for something like this. So we have all this data, right? And we use it to help decide our programs, but the students couldn't get it. So now we have launched Career Star, which as an advisor or a faculty is advising a student and choosing a major, they can go into this and they can see that same labor market data. So if a kid walks in the door and says, I want to be an NBA basketball player, and they go into this, there's probably not a job posting. But if they look for accounting, there's thousands of them, and they can see that an accountant starts at $55,000 a year, and you can do that with a 2-year degree, and that you can get a job at Methodist Hospital and not have to be a nurse if you don't want to touch people, if you want to be a business person, and you can still work at Methodist Hospital but be an accountant. And then they can use it while they're at Lone Star to get a part-time or full-time job, and because they can keep watching where the jobs are and who's posted, they can write their resume, they can do an interest survey, all within this tool. And then when they finish, or along the way, if they want to do an internship, that's near and dear to Dr. Smith's heart, and it came up when Dr. Riley's leading strategic planning, the internships, we don't do enough of that. We've gotten away from that. And they can hopefully find places for that, and so can our people. And I want to end with this. So we also, in our workforce development, get lots of special projects. We had an opportunity in Ghana. It was fully funded by the people there. We get involved in, like I said, esports, blockchain, cool, neat things. But this was awesome. So the band Metallica put up $1 million for 10 community colleges around the country to fund students. And they wanted to fund students with no money, that were unemployed, that needed help with daycare, with getting transportation. They wanted to fund different kinds of stuff. And because it's Metallica, whether you like heavy metal or not, I now have a Metallica t-shirt, but whether you like it or not, they wanted to give back because they didn't go to school. They made millions of dollars. They say they were lucky and consider themselves lucky. So we're one of the colleges. We got to do some different kinds of marketing. We got to do a 30-second commercial that we had never done before for a specific set of programs. And so that was different and unique, and because it's their music and stuff, people watched it. You'd be amazed how many people my age have Metallica t-shirts that were big fans back in the day and still are. And then they chose, we chose truck driving, certified nurse aide, and oil and gas floor hand. And out of the first 97, 97 started, 97 finished, and 97 got jobs. And that's what it's all about, right? It's like the coolest thing. So we had a final cohort, and we're trying to get them jobs. I dragged 2 students to a meeting in Austin and introduced them to these CEOs from oil and gas, and they each got 3 or 4 or 5 jobs on the spot that night. And they're just so cute, and they're in this video. And I want to take one last minute and show the video.
My name's Chance Kroll, Robert Trentham, Edward McBride. I come from a small town. Everything is like 2 hours, 5 hours away.
I ride the Metro, and I have to wake up every morning at 5:30 just to be here on time.
I'm at a time where I want to pick up a career that I know has some kind of longevity.
There's a lot of different opportunities in this college right here I didn't even realize.
My next steps are to gain as much knowledge as I can, become a sponge.
Thanks to these funds, I'll be able to be working within 3 months. It made it where I don't have to worry as much as stretching myself thin, worrying about paying my bills.
It just opens up my schedule for me to focus on what I'm doing exactly at the task that's at hand.
I paid for the whole thing, man. It took care of everything, so I really don't have anything to pay for anymore. It just paid for the whole certification.
Thank you very much. From the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful. It's so helpful. I'm very grateful and blessed for it.
One of the big things that helps me is being able to receive something that's gonna support me and better my life, so I appreciate every bit of it.
I grew up listening to their music, and I'm very appreciative, especially being from the upbringing that I have and the background that I have. I'm grateful for this opportunity. So thank you very much.
I took this to the chairman of the Metallica Foundation in Washington, D.C. 6 weeks ago, and so they're refunding Lone Star another $100,000. We're working with Chase Bank, and because of Dr. Wright's relationship with the Chase Foundation, they're going to match either the entire $100,000 or $50,000, and Baker Hughes is putting up $35,000 for the same program. So it's, all you have to do is show them our students. But thank you. Is there anything else?
Thank you. That's a great report. Board members, you now have the faculty senators. Faculty senator making a report.
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. Board members, you now have the opportunity to talk about activities that you've been involved with over the last month. So I'll start with Trustee Stoma and move down this way with anyone that has anything. Trustee Sullivan?
Yes, sir. You bet. Thank you. Coincidentally, the information about the councils a moment ago, I want to thank Dr. Head and Linda Head for allowing me to attend the firefighter and paramedic leadership meeting over at UP. And my observation, my takeaway, and I stayed the whole time, was that I was impressed with Lone Star's listening to our customers, not telling fire and EMS what we were going to do. We asked, what do you need and how can we help? And I think we even dispelled a couple of perceptions, for lack of a better term, where they clarified, no, we don't really need that, we need this. So it's real, it's happening, and what you presented tonight is what you're doing. So thank you.
I haven't talked to you because I just got the note back, but they want to meet again, and they have money. They want to work with us over more partnerships. And we're working on putting together Dwight and Linda Head and Valerie. I don't know. There's a group looking at options for their bachelor's degrees that they wanted, or degrees, period, but bachelor's degree. So we're moving ahead with all that. So
keep up the good work.
Excellent. Ken?
I'm fine, too.
Oh. Had the opportunity to visit with the Texas Higher Education Board a couple of weeks ago, and it seems that they understand that community colleges really, if we want to have an educated workforce, it's going to fall onto the community colleges to make it happen. And of course, they had other programs in the past that kind of said the same thing, but no funding came with it. So I think that's part of the problem, that we just need to continue to seek the additional funding to do. And you're doing a great job, Linda, with all the grants and so on that you're able to get for workforce. Good for you.
Okay, thank you. And I'll go last. Mary? Linda?
I just want to second what Trustee Sullivan said, because before I was elected to the board, I was on one of those workforce program advisory committees. And so I experienced it from the other side of the table. Having come in, I had an intern in the paralegal program working in my office. We were looking for alternate office space. I gave her the dimensions of all the rooms in our existing space and asked her to calculate our total square footage so I could use it for comparison. She looked at me with a blank stare and had no idea how to go about doing that. And so at the next paralegal advisory committee meeting, we were talking about curriculum, and I said, is there a math requirement? And the answer I got back was, do paralegals need math? And the room erupted. All of the lawyers on the committee gave example after example, and it was added. So yes, I can attest from the other side of the table that we do listen to what the industry says that we need in our programs. So great job. The other thing I want to talk about, thank you, Trustee Smith, Chair Smith, for sharing this with me. What I have here is a letter from our friend Nicole over at the foundation. You've heard me talk about this before, and I'm back. So in 2016, when I was chair of the board, we decided to start a Board of Trustees endowment fund to create a student scholarship, folks, in perpetuity, okay? It's not a one-time deal. But it requires that the endowment be funded at the level of $15,000 within 7 years. So we have until December 31st, 2023 to hit our $15,000. Now, if all 9 board members who were on the board at the time had shared equally in this goal, it would have been $1,667 per board member. I know for a fact that 2 board members have actually already contributed that amount. But not everybody participated. But then we have some new people on the board, okay? So I want to give you an update. Right now, we're funded at 56%. $8,408.70. That means we have 44% to go, $6,591.30. And if we can get that into the foundation by the end of this month, we can fund a scholarship for the next academic year. Okay?
Yes.
So that's less than $1,000 each. If all 9 board members sitting here tonight divided that equally, it would be $732.37 each, okay? I am one of the 2 that I know of that has already contributed a full 1/9 share. So here is my challenge to the rest of you. If the other 8 people sitting here pledge $732.37, my husband and I will kick in the 9th share, and we will have this fully funded, and we will be giving a scholarship to a student next fall.
I'm in for $1,000, so just tell me where to send it.
Okay, well, is Nicole, is anyone from the foundation here tonight?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me where to send it. You got the money.
Okay, thank you.
Tell them to email the board and give us that information. I don't remember anything.
Okay, so Trustee Pierce is asking for an email with instructions on how to make her donation. Anybody else? I see people picking their fingernails and looking at their cell phones.
I've given a full share, but I will wait until the end to see what the balance is.
I'm with you, okay? I'm with you. So if you want Chair Smith and past Chair Good to have to pony up another $732 each, y'all pony up.
I need to talk. I'm trying to figure out where my money is going.
to fund a scholarship in perpetuity to a student.
Money I'm already paying.
Uh-huh. Okay, but if you didn't designate it to this scholarship fund, then I don't know where it's going. It could be going into the general scholarship support fund, which is what will happen.
Email requested that it go into this fund.
You did?
You may have paid
Good.
already. It may be there.
And it may be there.
Well, it should have, it doesn't sound like it is.
No.
Well,
Ken,
$8,000
$8,408 is in there. I do not have the information on who all has contributed. I only know that Alton and I have. So your money may well be there, and I just did not ask for names.
We can get it.
Okay? Thank you.
But that data can be obtained, Candy. You can also call the foundation office. They can let you know. Huh? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Great, you're a great lawyer and a great salesperson.
Thank you.
Yeah. You have got a question?
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is, of course, I've been out a minute. I've been having physical therapy, but as I was talking to the physical therapist, I said something about Lone Star. I did not know that Lone Star had a partnership with Montgomery College. And they told me that. I said, but I didn't know that. I just happened to be talking. But anyway, that's one of the things I did not know that Lone Star was doing. And they do, I think, a certification. Is it physical therapist assistant? Am I getting it right? I was happy to know that. I was so proud to tell them that I was a trustee and that, I was just honored to have one of the students working on me. I think that's a good thing. That's all I wanted to say. Kudos to Montgomery College.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Art, your opportunity to talk about anything you want.
I'm good. I'm good. I think you took all.
Okay. Trustee
My
Pierce,
thunder.
you have anything you want to talk about? Okay, I have a few things, and I think my dates are correct. Was Fallbrook groundbreaking in November? Okay, yeah, I attended the Fallbrook groundbreaking in early November, and that was a great activity that was put on by Houston North. Lots of folks attended, and it was well received by the community. I also spent a couple of days on the Human Library over at North Harris, talking with students about my experience. And to you all that have not done that, you might want to try that, because the students get a lot of benefit out of listening to things that older people have gone through and how they've overcome obstacles that may have been in front of them. I enjoyed the small business affair that was put on, recently, where certain businesses, small businesses in the community was recognized by our small business group. And I played in the annual golf tournament, but we didn't win anything, but I had fun. Also, and I enjoy doing that because of the funds that are generated for that. And as most of you know, I've had an opportunity to serve on the Board of Trustees of the Community College Association of Texas. And we had a couple of meetings, pretty much talking about what the agenda is going to be for the next legislative session, for community colleges. So that's basically the extent of the major items. Okay, Dr. Head, do you have any other items you'd like to add? Anything else? Okay, if not, we will move to the consent agenda. First, I would like to ask from the trustees, do you have any items that you would like to have considered separately?
Item number 7.
Number 7? Who said that?
I did.
Okay, 7. Okay.
6.
6. Okay. Okay, now, let me make sure I have everything correct. The items that are left on the agenda to be considered as a group are items 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Item 3 is being taken off of the consent agenda, and the entire agenda is not being considered tonight. Item 6 will be considered separately. and voted on separately. Item 7 will be considered and voted on separately. So I need a motion to approve items 1, 2, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. There's a motion. May I have a second? It's been moved and properly second that we approve those items. All of those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous, thank you. Okay. Item 6.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Oh,
Chancellor.
I'm sorry. I knew I need to do a motion first. I keep on forgetting that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. May I have a motion to consider item 6?
Motion.
Moved, okay. Second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we consider item 6, and go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Trustee
Just a
Sullivan.
quick question, and it only occurred to me as I was looking through the agenda a moment ago. Chancellor Head, is Weaver and Tidwell LLP, is that affiliated in any way with Weaver, who's doing our audit?
That's the company, right? Yeah.
So it's same company, so all right, I should have done a little bit more research. I apologize. I don't like to do this in public. So we're going to hire the company that does the audit to audit the construction contracts. Is that the way I read this agenda item?
That is correct, right.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions? If not, all those in favor of item 6, raise your right hand. Let's see, wait, keep your hand up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, the item has been approved.
You want to take a no vote, please, so I can be on record?
Okay,
as
so, okay.
voting no?
The no vote, Sullivan?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Who are the other no vote? Ken. Thank you. Okay, item number 7, a motion, please, for item 7.
So moved.
Second? It's been moved and properly second that we consider and approve item 7. Comments? Go ahead
Yeah, I
with
have a
comments.
question. We're opening a clinic. Is that what my understanding? And who's going to man this health clinic?
Are we talking about action item 7?
Yeah, the mechatronics.
Clinic. I'm looking at the, I'm looking at the wording on the number. I want to make sure we're on the same one.
Huh. Yeah.
Action item 7.
Yeah, that's it. Mechatronic equipment. Yeah, that's the same one. Yeah, he said clinic, but I don't think it's the clinic.
Let me make sure I'm clear about that. Clinic,
It's equipment.
Yeah, it's equipment for the mechatronics program. That's a program.
But it's for a clinic.
No,
No?
it's a mechatronics degree. There's a degree.
Oh. Where was I reading?
No, it's a program of study.
Okay. Well, what's 10? I had some.
Here, this, it's number 7, action 9.
Oh, okay.
Was already approved.
Okay. Well, let me ask a question about that. That's for a clinic?
That's number
9,
9.
action item 9.
Oh, what, you want to talk about 7 then?
No, if he has a question about action item 9 that was already approved. I just think he just has a question.
I just want a question answered.
On action item 7?
9.
No, 9.
9.
Action item 9.
It's Houston North. It's being paid for out of TERS funds. It's for low-income students.
Right. Have we got liability insurance?
9.
Oh, 9.
That's my question.
I'm sure we do. Can we answer that?
Well, it's already approved, so why don't you just get with
Yeah.
Dave?
got it, okay.
And
Get
we'll
back.
get that information to you. Yeah, we'll get that
99,
information.
I'll find out like now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments on 7? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Thank you.
I had 9.
It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah,
This is what
yeah,
happens.
it's,
Action
the numbers are different.
I know.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Put it on different lines.
Well, you have to follow this sheet.
Oh, and
This sheet here that has them summarized.
I understand the confusion.
Okay.
I do the same
All right.
thing. Okay.
We're now ready for our financial report. Yeah, they have a number different.
Yeah, we'll do that. We
Yeah.
got some pushback, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
It needs to match the,
Yeah.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Before I go to the regular monthly financial report, I do want to mention that everybody had 2 books at their spot from my team. The first one is the final budget book. The board did approve that in August, and this is the final book. We did make some additions to it, the front section and just some of the explanations, because we also submitted it to the GFOA, Government Finance Officers Association, submitted it for the award, for a budget award. We've never submitted it to that before, but so we did add some additional material in the front section towards that award. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. The other book that you have is so this one is the budget report. And then the other book that everyone received is a draft comprehensive annual financial report for the year ending August 31st, 2019. It is still a draft, but so everyone has a copy of that. To that report, I do want to mention a couple things about my team. My team, they're absolutely fantastic. I have to mention that we had the executive director of accounting left in August. She had a promotion opportunity elsewhere, so great, really good for her. But so we've been down an executive director of accounting, and then the associate vice chancellor also left. So I have to say that the team, right now I have Valerie Cott, who has been executive director of student accounts. She has stepped up in an amazing way and is serving as interim associate vice chancellor for financial reporting and operations at the moment. And her and that entire team, so I want to mention Craig Price, Robin Riesbeck, Beth Stanley, Letitia Batiste. These 4 that I just named, they're not here tonight, but I do want to name them because even being down these 2 key positions, everyone has put in so much work and effort over these months since August 31st to get this report together. So I really need to say how thankful and grateful I am to them for putting this together. So with that, the regular monthly financial report is in front of you. This is as of December. The report is as of October 31st, 2019. I almost read off today's date. So for our current fiscal year, actual revenues as a percent of budget, we are currently at 20.9% of revenues, so 82 million of revenues is what we have brought in so far this year. And you can see that is trending roughly in line with prior, well, I guess a few years prior it's about equal. So it's running higher than the prior 2 years, which is a good sign for revenues. And then our expenditures as a percent of the budget is at 15.1%, or 58 million is our expenditures so far to date, which is relatively level, right? We have that 1 year the dip is Harvey, but ignoring that, we are relatively level with prior years. It is still relatively early in fiscal year 2020, so our long-term cash reserve projection for ending this year is still at 17.5%, or 66.4 million for ending cash reserves. And the primary place where we do have a forecasted variance to budget so far is in tuition and fees. We all already saw that fall enrollments came in below what we had budgeted for. So that's the 444,000 negative variance for tuition and fees. But managing to this, we've offset that with reductions in expenditures. So that is offset on this side with 444,000, and these are expenditures that were identified by everybody to cut to offset this. So that's the monthly financial report, but now going to our Fund 35 Harvey Recovery Fund, we did hit the 50 million mark in expenditures, up from 49.8 million last month. It's, we're at least at the very tail end of our contracts. I think I only have about 6 or 7 purchase orders still open that we're working to get closed out. And of course, of this, 45.4 million was spent at Kingwood. With FEMA, so the bottom 3 in green is what we've received. So we had received this when I presented at the last board meeting, but if you remember, I ended up not having my slides, so I left them highlighted. So we had received about an additional 25,000 in October from FEMA. So we are up to a total of 10.3 million that has been approved. And then so their cost share of that is 9.5 million is what we have received from FEMA. Now, in terms of the status, so even though the dollar amount of what we've actually received from them did not increase that much this month, we did see significant progress. I know it's kind of small, but if you can tell, we had about 6 million move from step 4 to step 5. And step 5 is really one of the last key step that needs to happen before we do get the funds. So step 4 is really the documentation phase where we're still turning stuff in. And they're validating that they have everything that they need. Step 5 is when that package is then sent up to higher level approval in FEMA. So that's where the 6 million just moved to, is to get that higher level approval from FEMA. So even though it's not to us yet, we can see it moving through. So that is some progress there. And in addition, I want to mention too, at Kingwood itself, right, we completed the reconstruction project this past spring, and then we've also continued to move forward on the new healthcare building, right, because that's where the dental program needs to move back to. But to keep things moving in terms of working on that campus, we do have also a Kingwood drainage study. That's going to start January 6th. So we're going to have engineers out there looking at all underground and above ground drainage for the entire campus. And that'll probably take roughly about 4 to 5 months to get completed. And then we can, from there, right, we've done the reconstruction. From there, we can start looking at what mitigation options we have for drainage on the entire campus site.
Jennifer, on item 7, or line 7, if FEMA ineligible, what's some examples of stuff that's not eligible under FEMA? If you know, if you don't, I'll find out later.
I can definitely go back and get the specific list, but there are some things in the contracts, some portions of contracts that they don't pay. So for example, with the remediation work with Black Memorial, that contract included a markup, and FEMA paid the majority of it, but they did not pay the markup portion. So sometimes there's certain portions that they don't consider to be eligible. On top of that, within the projects, there were instances, it might be infrastructure, IT, sometimes safety and security, where during the reconstruction, we made the choice to do upgrades from what was there. FEMA will only cover like for like. So when we've done upgrades, those are considered ineligible. So we submit everything, and we see what goes through, and yes, so some of it does get kicked out.
Yeah, you don't need to look. You did well. Great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Huh?
I say I have a question.
Oh,
don't
okay.
mind. Yeah,
Go ahead.
Ma'am. With respect to the drainage study at Kingwood, how did we arrive at that? Was it a board-approved item? How much does it cost? What was the vetting process on contractors?
I'm sorry, I will have to get back to you with that information. Okay. I had asked for the project status update, but I didn't get that. I can get that for you, though, certainly.
I wasn't aware of that at all, not that I need to be, but I'm curious about it. It's could be very involved. Hang on, sorry.
No,
could be a very involved, lengthy project that we want to find solutions, and I'm all in favor of doing it, as you know, but we also want to watch it. Thanks.
Okay.
Jennifer, are we eligible to, or is it possible that FEMA will reimburse for that drainage study or any mitigation efforts that we do as a result of that to mitigate against future damage?
Yes, it's possible. FEMA does cover some mitigation projects, and they just work it differently, though. The reconstruction portion, FEMA works as a reimbursement program, so we can go ahead and do it and then submit and get reimbursed. Mitigation projects work the opposite. We have to have their approval of the project first before we go do it. We are going to keep working that process, and I think the drainage study itself was already included in some of our submissions to FEMA, so that portion should be fine. But once we get that study and need to look at what we want to do with that, we need to, right, and a lot of these FEMA processes, we're learning as we go, and the FEMA personnel are also learning as they go as well. And so we will have to figure out what we do to submit that and get an idea of the timeline. You know, at some point, there might need to be that decision of, do we wait or not? Because there it's different. We need their approval before we do it.
We had this discussion about Kingwood, so after the engineers come in, we'll just have to make a decision about, and tell us what needs to be done. We have to make a decision whether we want to wait for months or a year to see whether or not they'll approve the mitigation project, or we move ahead ourselves. Depends on what it is. If it's a couple of $1 million for drainage issues, then that's a decision we'll come back to the board with and go, okay, these are the risks involved if we wait. I mean, we know what the risk is. Or do we want to spend our own money, and probably they may not, I mean, the reality is they may not reimburse us for it if we move ahead without their permission. So.
Can I jump in and make a comment? I want Trustee Head, it was press release this week that FEMA has approved $25 million, I mean, it's right here, for Kingwood High School flood protection, floodgates, waterproofing of the exterior of the building, et cetera. So whatever they've done, we might want to peek over their shoulders because they were successful in it.
We talked about that. I saw that article too. I sent it last night, I think, to a couple of people saying, please take a look at this and see what they've done and how they get approval for this. I'd like to see how that's going to work. So yeah, I agree.
Well, and it's very likely that this drainage study is a very beneficial first step. They're more likely to engage with us substantively on a mitigation project if we have done this. So I think it's a good move.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any future agenda items? No board meeting in January, not but February. Any future agenda items? If not, oh, I'm sorry. Board members, remember, we have a board retreat that starts at 8:30 with breakfast, and the meeting will start promptly at 9 o'clock, and it's at University Park, Building 11, Galaxy Room. Is that 18th floor? First floor. Meeting